Globally renowned expert on cataclysmic geography has a hypothesis titled The Adam and Eve Story, discussing the global cataclysms and the cyclical timelines, the trigger, and the consequences. So this is one of the scariest prophecies that I have read. And here's the interesting thing. I first found out about these documents on a specific alphabet agency's website that you can go to and read. I've got the podcast here on the YouTube channel. So I found out that I was actually able to order the original essay or the original story, whatever. Now, I picked this up today, and it was even autographed in 1972, so check this out, by the author. Thought that was great. And this, let me just tell you a little bit about Chan Thomas, because first of all, anybody can write a great story, anybody can come up with a great prophecy, but who is the author? And I'm going to read this directly out of the book, the author. So, Mr. Thomas attended Dartmouth College and Columbia University, receiving his degree in electrical engineering in 1943. As a result of his research since 1949, Mr. Thomas has become recognized as the world's leading authority in the field of cataclysmic geology and its relationship to uninformatarian geology. I hope I said that right. In 1959, he applied his findings to the possibility of earthquake prediction. There was a seminar in November in 1959. They issued the results of his studies. He then accurately forecast the months, years, and locations of the major African and Chilean earthquakes of 1960, the Iranian earthquake of 62, the Yugoslavian earthquake of 63, and further predicted that California would have no major earthquakes for the following 5 years. Now, his research and his correlation is in fields that are in a multitude of words that I'm not even going to attempt to say, but I will tell you a few here. Radiology, oceanography, glaciology, seismology, earth magnetism, paleontology, anthropology, and multitudes of other fields. He's demonstrated that the cataclysmic geology theories as presented by De Luc in 1779 and Cuvier in 1812 are definitely more acceptable than they have been previously within international scientific circles. Nanu. So there you go. Very, very intelligent man. Very intelligent. And I just literally went through the first 10 pages and wow, some serious info. So let me just kind of give you the bullet points. See if you can pick up a copy of this. You might be able to on Amazon, or there's various other bookstores. This has been out of print for a long time. The hardcover version is over $150. You might be able to get a soft cover for less than $20 though. Adam and Eve, 11,500 years ago. Noah, 6,500 years ago. This too is also going to pass. He's referring to the next cataclysm. California mountains are going to shake like ferns. The winds are going to be so powerful that they're going to shred everything in their path with the force of 1,000 armies. The mountain of Pacific water is going to follow the wind eastward, turning LA and San Francisco into uninhabitable zones because they're going to be buried like grains of sand in water. 1,000-mile-per-hour winds across the continent. An earthquake that leaves no place untouched. Many places the Earth's molten sublayer breaks through, which is going to cause spreading seas of white, hot liquid fire. It's going to take 3 hours for the wall of water to actually travel across the entire continent, eastward. There are going to be few that do find shelter, and they're going to be located on the lee side of Pikes Peak, which is in Colorado, one of the tallest mountains that you can actually drive up to the very top. Pikes Peak, Colorado, I think it's about 14,000 plus feet. And mountains that are as tall as Pikes Peak will stay above water. Ecuador, Peru, Western Brazil, they're also going to be shaken madly. Central America deals with the same cataclysms. Then, after all of this, after the winds are going to cause what the author says mounds of shredded flesh from plants and animals, and the rainforests are going to be decimated, etc. And then, after these winds and the waters just blast across the nation, the continent, multitudes of continents, then freezing will happen after that. Then the waters will freeze. So let me get into this a little bit more. Man, beast, rock, mud, frozen, and it takes less than 4 hours. Europe also gets ravaged. The Pyrenees actually shake and they lift up higher as the water hits them. Western Africa, the sands of the Sahara vanish. Congo, South Africa, Kenya suffer only earthquakes and winds, no inundation. The few survivors there will watch the sun stand still in the sky for nearly half a day. Why is that? The entire Eastern Asian continent will be frozen, most of it under sea level. Western Siberia will have a few survivors east of the Urals. Antarctica and Greenland, with their ice caps, will now be in the torrid zone. And they're going to have, it's going to be like this really weird mist for years around and settle away from higher ground. So the Bay of Bengal, which is in India, is now going to be the new North Pole. And there's going to be 25 years or less. The ice caps will be gone and oceans will rise 200 feet globally. New York is going to lie at the bottom of the Atlantic. The few survivors in Australia will now be in the North Temperate Zone. Egypt will emerge it'll emerge new and higher. And now here's where the very interesting part that I wanted to share with you guys that talks about what causes it. You know, before I didn't know. I was like, was it a comet, an asteroid? What was the trigger? Was it a nuclear weapon? Well, this is where it gets very interesting. And no, it's not Planet X. No, it's not a comet, an asteroid. It is actually something that apparently, this is on page 14, once every few thousand years, a neutral matter escapes from the inner core of the Earth, which is approximately 860 miles in thickness. It escapes the core, then goes into the molten outer core, which has a 1,300-mile thickness. Once that happens, there is literally an atomic explosion inside of the Earth. The explosion in the high energy layer of the outer core disrupts completely the electrical and magnetic structure in both the molten outer core and the outer 60-mile thick molten layer. Then the ice caps are allowed to pull the shell of the Earth around the interior, with the shallow molten layer lubricating the shift the entire way. So you can see then ice ages are not a matter of advancing and retreating ice, simply that different areas of the Earth are in polar regions at different times for different durations of time. Changes between positions here are going to be taking place in a fraction of a day, and you can read a multitude of stories to back up this testimony, such as the mammoth that's frozen in mud with buttercups in its mouth. There's a ton of information in here that you can read and validate, or at least give more credence, I should say, into the possibility. Now, let's say this happens. I mean, I can't even fathom how to survive something like this. You would have to have a real serious setup. You would have to be in a very safe location. You would have to be way off the coast. and then you'd have to be in an area that wouldn't have lava coming from underneath you. So that sounds to me like there's a reason there was so much money put into Colorado. There's a reason that the Denver airport has a multitude of underground tunnels and very large structures underneath it, underground buildings, facilities, etc. Continuation of government. This is like something out of 2012. Now, also, if you have an opportunity to pick up this book, I would definitely recommend it because he gets into other prophecies as well. But one of the things that I like about his explanation is he says, you know, the description of this cataclysmic doom, this reset button, isn't showing it from paranormal activities. It's because of the Earth's natural elements. It's because of the Earth's natural cycles. So maybe that's why we don't have 100 billion people here right now. Maybe that's why we continue to find new information, new history that presents itself, and maybe that's why we can't find relics that are from previous cataclysms because they're so far underneath rock and mud and water and lava and whatever else that it could take decades just to find with very powerful technologies. So there you have it. Hope you have a beautiful day. What's it like in your neck of the woods? Are you still, if you're in the Northwest, are you dealing with the fires, with the forest fires and the smoke? Are you able to breathe okay out there? Are you in Houston? How's it going in Houston? What's the overall? What are people like out there? Are they friendly? The attitudes of people seem to be pretty strong still. Have a lot of people given up? If you're in Houston, I'd love to hear from you. And, you know, good energy to all of you guys out there. If you're in Mexico, there's been some gnarly earthquakes in Mexico recently. So, once again, good energy your way. May the force be with you. Send me an email. I do have a new email now. There's been, I don't know what's going on with my old email. I upgraded it, and now I'm not able to get access to it. So, if you have some information or if you have contacted me in the past, my new email is leakproject@gmail.com. I've got a blog section that is going to be up at leakproject.com very shortly because there's a lot of people that write a lot that want to get their theories and ideas and information out there. So I invested some time and money into a blog section that will be up shortly at leakproject.com. So if you have information for me, please send it, leakproject.com. You can always leave a comment in the comment section on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Just click that subscribe button, youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord.